Welcome to NFL Mike's Corner. We are here to give our instant reactions on round one of the playoffs. I am joined today with Tony Tucker, my reoccurring co-host here on the NFL Mike's Corner. If you guys want to join in on the chat, you can. If you guys want to help out the channel a lot, make sure you guys like the stream or like the video, depending on when you're watching this, and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you can be here every time we have an impromptu live stream like this. We're going to be getting in and reviewing all of these blowouts in round one and answering the question, which was the most impressive? But first, Tony Tucker, how are you doing personally? Doing great? Enjoying your time? First round was exciting, right?
It was lousy. Like I love football, and there's only 3 weekends left, which is like the hardest part to get over. Just because I watch all the games, doesn't matter who's playing in them. Obviously, like extra terrible for us, right? Like when you watch your team lose in that fashion, and we'll get into that more. But like overall, like I'm good right now. I'm in California. There's a lot of perspective around me, and I feel very blessed and fortunate, to be able to sit around and watch football. And my biggest complaint at the moment is that I have to wait until September to watch the Chargers again. Like that feels like a real blessing for that to be my reality. So I'm excited to be here with you.
Yeah, we're all kind of going through that right now, kind of counting our blessings, rethinking everything with what's going on here in LA. If any viewers don't know, me and Tony Tucker's hometown, I count myself as Los Angeles being my hometown. So we're definitely praying and hoping that some kind of resolution can come out of this for the people that lost their homes, for the people that were impacted by this. Pretty sad, but that's why we are very fortunate. We're very thankful to be able to sit here and talk about sports during this time. Me and Tony were fortunately in areas that did not have to deal with any of that.
Yeah, I'm not out of the woods yet. And at any moment, my power could be shut off again. So if that happens, I hope everybody has a great day. If I'm abruptly taken off the screen, it's probably
well. Let's get into the better news then. Let's get into the brighter stuff. For one, channel just hit 15,000 subscribers. So
congratulations. There you go.
We hit it today. Thank you guys all for supporting and getting us to this point. And then the other good news, we got another football game tonight. Yeah. So we're going to give some last second predictions after we go over some of these other games. Let's start with the easiest game, I think, to look at and analyze because it kind of went how we expected. Denver Broncos on the road in Buffalo. And I got some gripes about this game, especially with kind of like how hard the Denver Broncos fans went on me following the Chargers loss to start the playoffs. I'm just sitting there like, you guys know you play tomorrow, right? In Buffalo. You understand what's about to happen. I mean, the Broncos showed some life on the first drive. That's about it. The defense played good. And that's the kind of way it's been for Denver all year. But it just felt like that seal was going to break throughout the entire first half. And then it started to crack. And Josh Allen, man, when he's on one and he's playing really well and he's taking care of the football, one of the most unstoppable players I've ever seen, Tony.
100%. Like that's the fun thing about football, right? It's like watching somebody and right now that in like 25 years, you will be talking about how great it was to watch him, right? When I was really young, that was Joe Montana and that was Dan Marino. Like you'd be at school and you would have watched Sports Center before you went there on Monday morning, and it would be like the touchdown pass that Dan Marino threw to like Mark Duper or whatever. It's like that's what we're seeing that now, that touchdown pass that Josh Allen throws, and he seems to do that. Him and Patrick both seem to be able to sort of like work that little bit of area, like I take that back. Burrow had one against us to Jamar Chase right in front of me where he was like, hey, Jamar, this way. And before the ball's even thrown, I'm like, mother effer. And everybody around me is like, what happened? He still got the ball. And I'm like, he just signaled to Jamar, there's a touchdown, 3, 2, 1. Bengals are back in the football game. But Josh Allen is so fantastically exciting to watch play football, right? That play that he throws to Johnson in the back of the end zone, where like Josh just gets on. He's like, I've been saying it forever. Tyron, I'm messing up his first name, Tyrone or Tyron Johnson is the best third down back in football. And it's like,
just
oh, great.
Ty Johnson, I think. Yeah, just Ty Johnson, like Ty Montgomery. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great, because you also have one of the best running backs in football, too. So you have the best third down running back and the best running back. Oh, and Ray Davis was my favorite running back in last year's draft. It's like they're loaded there. Then even like you start looking around and it's like, oh, yeah, you forget they have Curtis Samuel as like wide receiver 4. Who's a very good option at that, position there. And Khalil Shakir just continues to remind me of Julian Edelman. The more I watch him play, it's like the stuff that he can do down the field, working out of the slot, motioning into the backfield. And then the defense came out and played. Like I don't go online, so I don't have any bones to pick with the Broncos fans, but I actually thought that was a pretty decent showing. Like the score was lopsided, but I thought that like they looked pretty good. Bo Nix looked all right in his first game. A couple of, Devon Vele, his first playoff game, he's like a 26-year-old rookie out of Utah. If he catches a couple of those balls down the field, maybe they convert a couple more field goals. The game looks more respectable. I think Cortland Sutton had a big drop on that killed one of the drives. So none of us thought they were going to win. Maybe Broncos fans did, but like the rest of the country, those heat maps that you and Joe send me, it would have been just Denver, Colorado. That was like Broncos orange. And the rest of the country would have been Buffalo, red, white, and blue.
Yeah, Ben, shout out to the AFC West Roundtable for firing me. But Ben from the AFC West Roundtable texted me right after the game, man, like, how you feeling, dude? I'm barely holding up. I'm like, you didn't see this coming? Like, even as a Chargers fan, I had even as a biased Chargers fan, I should say, I had some wherewithal. We're playing a good football team, good quarterback, good coach. Like, this isn't going to be easy. The Broncos had a much more taller mountain to climb. I will say, I agree with you in a sense that the Broncos didn't look like they didn't belong on the field with the Buffalo Bills, at least, and they looked like a playoff team. I think we would have had a way better game if the Chiefs don't intentionally lose and let the Bengals get into the playoffs. I mean, what happens then? That's a lot more exciting scenario, because I still do worry. You saw Troy Franklin right out the gate. Buffalo's defense can't come out sleeping like that, man, in the playoffs to start the game.
Yeah, but that's like Sean Payton gets a chance to script for an entire week, and then Bo Nix makes a really great throw. Like, that's what you saw there. And then as things settled in and they realized what they were doing beyond the fake punt, it wasn't like you have to play perfect football when you have the talent level the Broncos have compared to the chemistry and time on task that everybody's been in Buffalo. Like, I really think that there's like 3 teams right now that we should all feel really great. The Chargers, Broncos fans should feel really great about where they're going, and the Washington Commanders. Because like these teams are all going to get a chance to take this offseason, to take this draft, and really take things to another level moving forward. And I do think the Broncos will have a chance to be even better next year. Defense will still be really strong. Bo Nix will have a full regular offseason with Sean Payton. Like, it's going to be good. They're going to have a chance to go out and add pieces where they need them, where it's running back, wide receiver. Like, the Broncos will be better next year. Those are going to be fun games.
I think I'm a little bit more of a Bo Nix doubter than you, Tony. I feel like there's going to be something here. Like, Sean Payton wants this very to the book, hit every single marker on time, in exact way that he wants it. Bo Nix seems like a little bit of a wild child. He seems a little bit more of that gunslinger, Baker Mayfield type. I wonder if that's going to conflict at some point. I hope it conflicts. Maybe a little bit of wishful thinking. Anything else on Denver or Buffalo? I will say my worries about Buffalo will be answered this week for sure, and their defense. We'll find out.
Yes, we're going to get a shot. Let's talk about the winner a little bit more than the loser in this one. As far as like the Buffalo side of it, like, if they can continue to get this level, like the level of play they got from their defense in here, like Matt Milano made a couple of really nice plays in the game. And then you have to be able to have these guys in the secondary continuing to be better. And I just remembered so they have the nickel corner, Tyron Johnson and Ty Johnson, right?
Yeah.
I didn't check to see how bad his injury was. Like, is that something that lingers to the next week? Because that could be a big problem. They can't afford any injuries in the secondary. And also, we both really wanted DeMar Hamlin to get that interception. Like, they should.
Hey, he got the moment still. He did
get the moment. Yeah.
There you go.
Great. You got to get that frame with the crowd. Yeah. Remember that interception DeMar Hamlin had? Doesn't even matter if that it isn't in the record books.
Speaking of interceptions that should have counted that didn't, let's just get this out of the way, Tony. Let's move on to this Chargers Texans game. And honestly, this game kind of went how almost every Chargers game went this year. And it's crazy. The phrase, all your weaknesses in the regular season will get exposed in your one postseason game if you don't tidy them up throughout the year. And the Chargers started the game slow. We started a bunch of games slow this year, struggled to get things going on offense, kicked a lot of field goals in the first half of a lot of games. The Chargers struggle with drop passes. The Chargers struggle with some defensive line stunts and blitz pickups at inopportune third downs. Only thing that really was different than the rest of the season was the turnovers. But this game, if I was to think of a way the Chargers were going to lose, kind of went the way I would think the Chargers had a path to losing. What's your thoughts on the game? I made a whole 20-minute video already. I'm sure people are tired of me just being biased and ignoring any kind of negativity sent Justin Herbert's way because I still fully believe in my guy. What's your thoughts on the game, Tony?
Yeah, I'm still 100% in on Herbert. I didn't have any doubts before the game. I'm not going to let the result of one bad playoff game change that. We live in a world now where like everybody has like shows like this. Everybody has a podcast, and there's so much like 24-hour coverage that like you have to vocalize your opinion about how bad something is or how great something is. You have to declare like that's what it is. This like off seasons just used to be quieter. There'd be a couple articles in the newspaper and then everybody else would move on or whatever. Unfortunately, like Herbert had a stinker and that's going to have to be with him. Thankfully, he's not big on social media. So I doubt that he's getting a chance to read and see things that are being said that to me is just absolutely ridiculous. I know at some point we'll sit down and I'll be like, okay, so let's say that you're right. Herbert's not top 5. Is he top 10? Because if he's still top 10, I feel very confident about winning Super Bowls and winning big games and hitting a magical run. As far as this game goes, it's just like there's little moments in the game to me that are like things just switch differently. If they actually call the intentional grounding safety and make it 8-0 with less than 2 minutes to play in the half, I think that's a completely that changes things a little bit. I still kind of feel like the Texans were going to figure it out and win the game the more it unfolded. How prepared D'Amico Ryans had the Texans defense was absolutely sensational. And then, we talked about like the third down, 3rd and 1. I know that you want to protect Herbert and you don't want bodies piling on him in that moment. But if you have 2 chances to sneak it and get 1 yard with a guy who's 6'6" and is really great at sneaking these, do that twice in a row. Don't run something that allows you to potentially, if not blocked well, lose yards on the play. At the very least, run just a fullback dive up the middle and get a no gain so that you have the option to sneak for that 1 yard. So that's something I think that, like, in hindsight, you'd probably like to redo there. Also, too, like the Quentin Johnson whip route, which ended up actually being a drop, was really brutal. Like, I would have preferred something different there, or the whip route to be designed to Ladd McConkey, if that's the case. Like, if we can pick the player that gets the ball there. Defensively, just so happy and proud of the way that those guys fought. On the Texans side, like Nico Collins, and this is something that I've been saying a lot. Like, I'm from Michigan, a Michigan fan, grew up watching them, and going on 35 plus years of watching Michigan football. Nico Collins is a really good football player. I said that, like in the draft, and remember a couple years in fantasy, I was like, this guy's going to break out. Well, it wasn't that year. It took another 16 months for the breakout to happen, but he's a really good football player. I just think the Texans had a moment this year. Like if you look at it, they played a first place schedule. Their 10-6 is a lot better than the Chargers 11-6 at that. Like the Chargers winning only, against playoff teams like the Broncos. On the Texans side of it, it's like they played the Bills early on in the season. That was a weird game, but they won it. They had a hard-fought battle with the team they're about to see next week, Mike. That's the gruesome injury for Tank Dell, right, in the end zone of that game. That rattled them there. Then they had to play a game 4 days later after they just watched their brother be like in a bad spot. They hit a little bit of a rut, and then for whatever reason, it just snowballed out of control. Like where Joe's sending me text messages of people saying that the Chargers have a bye week. I'm like, what is everybody talking about?
Yeah.
4 months ago, everybody was saying the Texans were a shoo-in for the Super Bowl. And then 3.5, 4 months later, now all of a sudden the Chargers have a bye week on the road. Like Texans are a very good football team. I think they're also another team that I would put in that category of like, they got a real shot to improve. And then you look around at that division, it's a freaking mess. Like they're going to win that division again next year for the third straight year. CJ's getting another Saturday home playoff game.
Yeah, I really wish they had all their receivers, man, so we could see them get after the Chiefs this week. I think that game is actually a lot closer than I originally thought, and I guess I can't shit on people too much for saying that the Chargers had a bye week. I did have the Chargers winning 30-10 as my score prediction on this channel. But yeah, you got to give the Texans a lot of credit. I underrated their D-line a ton, Tony. I mean, they freaking got after it, and I should have given them some more credit in my prediction and at least made that score prediction close because of that fact alone. But let's go back to this Herbert topic, because I do have a point that I want to hit here. Everyone is going absolutely insane, saying Herbert's no longer a top 10 quarterback. So let's play the quick rapid fire would you rather, as we do on this channel often. I did this with many other quarterbacks, right? No one's talking about how Jordan Love played this weekend. We're going to talk about it. Trust me, but I'd rather have Herbert than Jordan Love and what Jordan Love's put on the field so far as a quarterback in the pros.
Yes, I'll take that. Sorry, I was reading the comment over here. Somebody about Notre Dame offensive lineman. I got distracted. Yeah, I would rather have Herbert than over Jordan Love.
Dak Prescott.
Justin Herbert.
Jalen Hurts.
Justin Herbert.
These are easy answers. Jared Goff.
Justin Herbert.
Trevor Lawrence.
Justin Herbert.
Tua.
Herbert.
Baker.
Herbert.
Brock Purdy.
Herbert.
Kyler Murray.
Herbert.
So when people talk about what tier or what conversation Justin Herbert is in, okay, we could just throw the outside the top 10 talk out the window right now, right? And everyone will probably put Joe Burrow, and all these Herbert haters put Joe Burrow over Herbert at this point. Remind me what playoff game Burrow's playing in this weekend? Like everyone puts all the weight on postseason success, and if you put all the weight on only postseason success and you ignore the other 500 passes that Herbert threw throughout the season, and you do that with every single quarterback in the league, only one successful quarterback exists right now, Tony.
Yeah, it's always been, it's like, for whatever reason, and I've been saying this as long as we've known each other, Mike, and it's only getting louder, is that we don't give any credit for second place in this country. So like the team, like the Bills go to 4 Super Bowls in a row, and people think that Jim Kelly was like a bust, a loser, or whatever. It's like, no, Jim Kelly was one of the best quarterbacks when I was a kid. Like he was fantastic. He ran into better football teams. Like, and it like sometimes we forget about the team aspect, and like I think that's the thing that we love so much. Like I was trying to explain this to my son. I was like, not only is football the most vicious, violent game that you can watch, but there's also like extremely great strategy built into every play. And all 11 people have to be doing what they're going to do for you to have success on that one play in sort of controlled chaos violence. It's like, that's what makes it so much fun to watch. So yes, like, would I entertain somebody saying like Jaden Daniels, the way he's played? Because then you start factoring things in like rookie contracts, like the fact that he has an extra 4 years of his youth left. CJ Stroud, you start factoring in how young he is and that he has years left on this rookie contract. If you want to build, yeah, I'll start entertaining. but I'm still going to pick my guy over them.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's like, this is what I'm fine with. Like, it doesn't matter what other people or the national conversation is. If you believe in the guy, just keep believing in him and don't give a shit what other people are saying.
Exactly. And also, I have been saying this the entire time. All these debates and all these arguments, everyone's saying Herbert's overrated. Where do you rate him? And every answer I get back is in between 5 and in between 10. Every single person. So I'm going, so you think he's overrated at 5 to 10. What are we even saying at this point? That doesn't make any sense. I said it to you in a text message, Tony, and we talked about it a lot. The Chargers have 75 to 100 million to spend this offseason. The Chargers are going to have all of their draft picks to deal or to draft. The Chargers are the terminators of this offseason. We'll be back.
There it is. You got to work on that Schwarzenegger impression.
We'll be back. Here's the thing, is I was going to do an impersonation, and then I realized I can't. So once I started the we, I was like, wait a minute, I need to just say this. No, we can't.
Yeah, it's from the back. It's from the back.
Go Chargers, go.
Yeah, and then just do blah 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 blah. Do that, and then start saying words. That's how you get into this.
Anyway, let's get through the AFC here. Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens routing the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. Man, it was a tough watch. And it's kind of confusing. Like, what do the Steelers do from here? Russ didn't play terrible. The defense was solid against Lamar. They slowed him enough for the Steelers to have a chance in this game. The thing is Russell Wilson at this age, especially, to me, stands no chance at success against any team, even some of the worst teams in the league, if he doesn't have a really strong rushing attack. They had like 30 yards combined rushing in the game. It doesn't feel like the Steelers have the offensive firepower in the AFC right now, whether it's an improvement at quarterback, whether it's an improvement in the weapons department to add someone to go along with George Pickens, if George Pickens even wants to freaking be there. I don't know what it is for the Steelers, but the defense keeps showing up year after year after year, and they can keep winning 10 games year after year after year off of that. It doesn't seem like they're going to get anywhere further unless there's some drastic change. What do you think about the Steelers side first? And then we'll talk about the Ravens who are moving on.
So I have always said that Steelers fans are crazy for wanting to move on from Mike Tomlin. Mm-hmm. I'll say this. I no longer think you're crazy. I hear you. I personally wouldn't do it. I would not be trying to look to, there's this big thing where it's like, well, we could get a package of picks for Mike Tomlin. You got to be careful what you wish for, because who's the person that's coming in, and are they going to be able to just establish something? Because this is what I would do if I were in the Steelers situation. And I hope that this take does not age horribly, although I don't go on the internet enough to find out people who will say horrible shit to me or about me. Sam Darnold, I think if I'm the Steelers, that's my next transition at QB, because the further we get away from allowing offenses to or allowing defenses to play the kind of sort of traditional Steeler football, right? Where it's like literally we're going out there, we're hurting as many people as we can. And I still think that's overall the intention of every defense, not necessarily to end people's careers, but to play really physical football and be like, hey, we want to make you quit. We want to have you on the sideline being like, coach, send somebody else in, tapping out, full Ant Richardson. I would say, bring in Sam Darnold. He's big, mobile. He's going to be able to deal with the bad weather. Then I think that's also going to help out with the run game a little bit because of his mobility. Part of the problem with Russ at this point is he's not able to do all of the magical stuff that he was able to do with the Seahawks. So what are the options? Even if you're telling me one of the comments that I saw was, well, Ben Johnson to the Steelers. To work with who? Now, if you told me that Ben Johnson's coming there and you're bringing Sam Darnold, I could get behind that as the transition of where it's going. I still think that there's something to having somebody in the building who knows what it's like to be able to deal with not just the 53 players, but all of the entire coaching staff, the training staff, the rehab team, the marketing team, how much access to allow to the players, like all of those things that fall under the coach's umbrella, you need a real leader for that. And so it's like, that's why I'm not moving on. I'm trying everything I can. And that might be Sam Darnold. Now, I really need Sam to come through tonight and play a great game so that it makes sense for the Steelers to be going out and saying like, hey, Sam, here's the sort of, the Kirk Cousins style contract. That's how desperate we are to get a quarterback in here. And I think that's the option. The one thing that I didn't love, and I can't prove it or whatever, but was like having some people show some clips where the Steelers maybe kind of tapped out on the season. They kind of quit.
That's what I had noted too when I was watching the game. At the end of the first quarter, I wrote down in my notes, I was like, they quitting at the first quarter of a playoff game? Like, what is going on right now? This team is bound down. And then right after that, Russell Wilson caught something, and they started to make something happen on the offensive side of the ball. Also, not encouraging to see someone as much of a star player as George Pickens. And in your Sam Darnold universe, Sam Darnold to the Steelers universe, Tony, I think the way he's fed Justin Jefferson would make your whole case to bring Sam Darnold in to come in here and feed a disgruntled George Pickens. But does George Pickens even want to stay? They asked him after the game, like, how are you feeling, man? You feeling like this is going in the right direction for the future still? And he's like, I don't really know. I don't really know.
We talked about this like a week before they asked him about his relationship, and he like pulled the ski mask up, where he's just like, he's not, he can be in a good mood if you get somebody who can distribute him the football. We're seeing this with all receivers. Like, we're going to talk about A.J. Brown in a second, and that was the most sort of like disrespectful way of saying
some Terrell Owens shit.
That was next level FU, where he's like, hey guys, I'm just going to be happy over here. You don't need me. But like, yeah. And I get it. Like, as a wide receiver, you're just in such a dependent position. And then you look around and you're like, well, I'm just as talented as these guys. I'm just as talented as Jamar Chase, but he's getting like 18 targets a game from a quarterback who's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. And these guys are like, wait, I'm playing with Russell Wilson at the end of his career, and I'm not happy about it. And it's like,
and that's why I said with the Chargers point that we have all of our picks to deal or draft, because it just seems like every year there's three amazing receivers that are like, get me the hell out of here. And A.J. Brown, George Pickens could be on the market.
I would keep my eye on whoever takes over the Jets too with Garrett Wilson. Like, there's just something there where it's like the Jets need picks. They got to move on. You can always find talented wide receivers as long as you have a good scouting department. And I just think that somebody would offer Garrett Wilson with a couple years left on his rookie deal. Somebody would offer a first-round pick for him. I think so too.
Before we talk about the Ravens really quickly, Tony, I have a pitch for you. I know that you want Sam Darnold to Pittsburgh, and you pitched that idea already.
I'm saying that's what I would do.
It makes sense. Sense. I know that you said that makes sense. Gave us a hypothetical. What about this hypothetical? The Steelers are going to be picking in the 20s. Once again, Najee Harris is leaving this offseason. What if the Steelers do a little bit of a transition situation and we run it with either a rookie quarterback or some kind of developmental quarterback behind Justin Fields with Ashton Genty on the Steelers next year? And this defense and that rushing attack and that backfield just destroy people next season.
No, absolutely not. If Justin Fields was the answer, they wouldn't have moved off him when they were 4-2.
Yeah. That's also another thing I was going to ask is, do you think that this goes better with Justin Fields in this game or worse? If he plays the whole season, obviously you don't just throw him in after Russ started that whole time.
I've been saying this for years. Like, I just feel like Justin Fields needs to make his way to Sean McVay. Like, just go there. If you are a free agent this offseason, just go to Sean McVay and say, hey, I want to be a backup. I know Stafford's kind of at the end here. Let's see if we can make some magic here. If we can figure out something that would work. Like, get Justin Fields out there. Like, I just think that there's a certain level of NFL quarterback that you have to play, like, from the pocket. And we're seeing that with this is the evolution of Lamar Jackson. I know we didn't talk about a lot, like we didn't talk about the Ravens in this side, but like this is the evolution of Lamar Jackson, is the ability to play and just destroy teams from the pocket. That's what's so impressive about Jaden Daniels right now, is like what he's able to do from the pocket. And then when stuff breaks down, the ability to just make the impossible happen. Like that's what we need to see. And I feel like that's kind of what I've been formulating this idea in my head about guys that are analytical over sort of like reactionary. And it's not that the reactionary guys don't play with analytics in the thing, but like Herbert's sometimes a little too sort of like see everything, and then it's too late to do anything. It's like at some point you just kind of got to go like, yeah, this is terrible, and I'm athletic enough to just like skate out here and just go ahead and pick up 8, 9, 10 yards. And sometimes it gets to be more than that. For some of the more athletic guys, there's a level at which guys like Jaden Daniels in Lamar Jackson are playing it's incredible to watch. That builds.
Yeah, it's a great transition. It's a great transition, and it's why the Ravens are my Super Bowl pick all the time. Because when you have to defend Lamar Jackson, you don't just have to defend the play that they call. You have to defend the second play, and then in some cases the third play, which is he evades one sack and then evades another sack, and he's still standing there looking to throw the ball possibly, and he could still take off. And then you throw on top of it that Derrick Henry is standing next to him and could take the ball to the house or be running down your throat at any moment as well. They can beat you in every way, it feels like. And when they get Zay Flowers back on the field, my prediction is going to be that this Buffalo Bills defense is going to get the hurt put on them again.
Yeah, they've just done a really nice job of building up the roster. And this is where I would love to see the Chargers at. Like, it'd be awesome if they could do it in one off season. I just think that's a little difficult to maybe get as that far. But to be able to have a situation where like Rashad Bateman some weeks is like option 4 in your game plan. Like that's incredible option 4 because of the tight ends that they've built up in that situation. And then on top of it, you go ahead and you take where it's like, we're not even seeing Keaton Mitchell get used at any point. Like, because Justice Hill is such a good football player. He's reliable in blitz pickup. He can run between the tackles, even though he's a little bit smaller, but he's also good in the pass game. So now all of a sudden you're like 8, 9 players in of legitimate playmakers. The speed that Mitchell and Justice Hill possess, along with obviously Derrick Henry, rapidly approaching maybe the best running back that I've seen. He's getting into that like LaDainian Tomlinson and Barry Sanders area of those players where it's like, Adrian Peterson just dominating players.
We'll see how ageless he gets. We'll see how much he continues to beat the age number. Because if he continues to do that, I think that's what really makes that conversation. Because the guys you just listed, like, I think LT, he had a pretty long, lengthy career like Henry's. Barry's very quick and rapid. I mean,
not really. 10 years for Barry. I think 10 years a peak for
where's
LT.
King at right now?
Year 10 or whatever. But you got to remember, like his first couple years in the league, he was behind DeMarco.
Yeah, they eased him in. That was smart too. That was very smart.
Getting crazy carries. Until there was remember that one game against Jacksonville where he had like 3 touches and all of them went for like 75 yards plus. It was like a screen pass, a 99-yard touchdown run. It was like, wait, why isn't this guy like?
Oh, we were drafting him, even though DeMarco was on the team. Everyone was drafting him super freaking high with another top 5 fantasy running back on the freaking team still.
It might be confusing. I think that there's that sort of year 8. Where you start to see a little decline or whatever, I don't want to short guys. Like I think Marshall Faulk was, a really special back to. I don't want to.
Going to Baltimore definitely helped Tony. They're going on to play the Bills in what will be an amazing game.
Yeah, really.
Can't wait for it. Also, another note here, Tony Tucker. I don't know if you realize the AFC Divisional Round is exactly the same in 2025 as it was 1 year ago in 2024. The Chiefs went to Houston and beat the Texans. I believe the Bills lost in Baltimore for the Ravens to advance. Now it's flipped. Games being played in Buffalo and in Kansas City, but the same teams. Does this mean that the AFC was more lopsided than we thought this offseason?
Wait, hang on. Texans went to
no. KC went to Houston last year.
No, they didn't. KC did not play a road game. So last year it was Baltimore came off the bye and played the Texans. And Lamar, that was like, oh, Lamar had his first great game or whatever it was.
Oh, no, it was Bills KC?
KC went on the road to play Buffalo, and that was the Tyler Bass missed field goal. And then
I got it mixed up. Okay, so it was the same four teams in 2024 as in 2025. The same point that I'm making here is when we went into this season, I thought that the gap between like the Bengals, Chargers, Dolphins was a lot closer to the Ravens, Bills, Chiefs than this, man. And we come out of it with the exact same teams. Do you think next year we're gonna have the same teams?
So I'm gonna disagree with you because these are all the division winners that I picked. Like I had all of these teams. I had the Texans going further into the playoffs. When they play my team, I'm high on hope. Like I picked the Chargers to win the game but it's like not really. Like these are the four best teams. What are they all have quarterback figured out. They all have really good head coaches. Like that's the recipe for success. And how do you get in there and you chip away and you knock them off? It's like, it's going to take the Chargers winning 12 games next year. And it's going to take, them beating the Chiefs a few times and the Broncos chipping in and winning a game. And maybe the Raiders get off the mat one of these years and they chip in, although they did beat the Chiefs last year on Christmas. But like, then all of a sudden, maybe the Chiefs are having an 11-win season and they're the 5 seed. And the Chargers are the 1 seed of the AFC West. And they get a 2 seed home playoff game. It's going to take Mike Vrabel building back up the Patriots to get there. It's going to take the Bengals winning games in September, right? Like when you get those home field, the playoff games, they're meaningful. It's the bottom line.
So you're saying I shouldn't get my hopes up that we're going to see 4 different teams next year in the second round?
Probably. It all depends. Like what do you think of the teams at the beginning after everything's said? Draft, free agency, preseason injuries. When you sit down and you make a list of the top teams, like if you go over to the other side, if the Rams win tonight, which the Rams are my Super Bowl pick, I had Rams Bills as my Super Bowl matchup. Like
it's almost same.
Yeah, I had the Rams in the playoffs. In the second round, I had the Lions in the second round. Like the one team I don't have is the Commanders, but I had the Bucks winning the South. Like I had the Eagles winning. Like it's pretty much what I predicted.
Let's talk about the NFC. Let's get this done because we're running out of ticks here. So let's talk about the NFC. Let's go to the Washington Tampa game. This game was a lot of fun, and it kind of went exactly how I expected the game to go. I expected it to be kind of a battle between these two coaches, and I expected Jaden Daniels to be cool, calm, and collected as he was all season. He just felt like the special rookie. That if a rookie was going to have a great first playoff game, it was going to be him. And sure enough, I wish I could just clip it into the live stream. My prediction was, Tony, that this game was going to be back and forth the entire game, and Baker Mayfield and the Bucks were going to make just one too many mistakes and lose by like 1 point. And that's lose with 0 seconds left on the clock is exactly what I said.
Yeah, on that kick, the play that the Jaden Daniels made to extend it and kind of kill the clock at the end there.
Yeah,
where essentially Elijah Cansey's playing flag football, just yanking. He's just looking at it like, where'd he go? Like it's like he just saw a ghost.
This guy's nuts.
He picks up the first down. It was pretty an incredible game back and forth. I know Baker's taken a little bit of heat kind of today from some of the bigger shows that I watch. I thought Baker played a really good game. There's one spot there where it's like, you have a rookie center who I actually really like. I think Graham Barton is a good player, is going to be a very high-end center in the league for a long time. he had a couple of rough spots in this game. Snapped the ball early, snapped the ball late a few times. That turnover is just super unfortunate because they're up 17-13 at that point. Now all of a sudden it can be flipped. Baker does drive down and gets a field goal, but leaves too much time for Jaden, who's just out there absolutely balling. Terry McLaurin looks like the receiver that I remember a few years ago when I just got lit up online where I was like, Terry McLaurin is a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. And the comments on that post on the old Warzone channel was about 95 long of how stupid I was. Now, whether he's top 10 or not, he's a legit outside X wide receiver who can absolutely ball. So like, he just needed somebody to be able to get him the football out there. And some of those throws are fantastic. And then to see Zach Ertz still out there making plays the way he is too, it's like, oh shit, they got something. I will say that there's a group, a group. I don't know when they vote for executive of the year. I would put Adam Peters at the top of that list. I think Joe Ortiz is another guy who did a phenomenal job. If you just go look at what these guys did with signing sort of the budget free agent level players, the Frankie Louvu and Jeremy Chins, bringing Dorrance Armstrong over from the Cowboys with him, and then just the way they drafted, got my guy Mikey Sanders still the secondary, great football player. I really like what the Commanders are building there. You look at it on the other side, it's like the Bucs football team is really good. Like, are the Bucs one of those teams, Mike, that goes out and says, hey, Cleveland, here's a first-round pick for Myles Garrett, or the Raiders, here's a first-round pick for Max Crosby? Because now you pair that guy up with Yaya Diaby, who I actually think is a really good player who gets a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Now you're looking at Kalijah Kancey, Vita Vea in the middle with Yaya Diaby, and then a stud, on the opposite side there. Now all of a sudden, the back end looks a lot better. Winfield was banged up this year. Maybe they go out and get a corner to play opposite of Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum. Like, I think that this team, the Bucs team, is still really good and not really in bad shape. I think it's pretty clear to me the Bucs are winning the division again next year. Like,
I agree.
Depending on if the Panthers maybe just have some incredible group of players that come there in free agency and the best draft ever, maybe. But I
think the Falcons would be good too. But I agree with you. I think the Bucs shouldn't be looking at themselves as a team that needs to do any kind of blowing up, rebuilding. They even already got their Chris Godwin replacement on the team, just sitting there ready. Like 15's a baller, man. They found somebody there.
100% agreement.
The Bucs, they definitely should have their chins up here. This is kind of the way games are going to go sometimes with Baker Mayfield. I don't know why people will be surprised. He's up and down, but he's been more up this season, been more up as a Buccaneer, and all of his strengths and his qualities that made him the first overall pick. I think in Tampa, the coaching staff there have done a great job at letting that grow, letting that become, Baker's identity again. That's how this guy balls out. For the Commanders, that head coaching hire is just looking like an absolute grand slam. Like you're saying with the executives and nailing that, they nailed it. And Daniels has completely sealed up the rookie of the year.
Absolutely.
So pull it down, Mike. Nice call. Called it before he even got drafted. So whoever drafts Jaden Daniels, they got the rookie of the year, Tony, and they do. All right, last game here, and this is the one I want to talk about most because the Eagles game to me was the most conflicting of the top teams that won in dominant fashion because Saquon Barkley looked very dominant in this game. The Eagles defense looked amazing in this game, but a lot of the problems they have in the passing game are still there. The Eagles are my pick in the NFC. I'm sticking to my guns for a Philly-Baltimore Super Bowl even all this time later, but I'm a lot more worried about the Eagles. I mean, we already talked about AJ Brown on the sideline having to keep his inner peace together, reading some of his favorite books. I mean, this thing it looks like a team that is steamrolling their way into the playoffs, but there's conflict.
So the Eagles are one of the most interesting franchises in football, right? Where it's like they won a Super Bowl with a head coach and a backup quarterback, and then 14 months later they were both gone. Right? I mean, they had Andy Reid, and he wasn't the right guy. You know, like there's nobody's safe because it is such a demanding sports city. The fans are like, if you ever get into an argument with an Eagles fan, like it doesn't matter what you say. The Eagles are the greatest team that's ever been assembled. And the Nakobe Dean injury's a little worrisome. I think he's been playing some really good football this year. The defense is absolutely dominating. Like Jalen Carter is everything that that's been advertised to be there. So that's fantastic for them. The passing's always kind of been an issue. Like it's just how it's worked out. Like it has its ebbs and flows and whatever it is. If Saquon Barkley, Mike, houses that last run, it's 30-10. Do you feel a lot differently? Do you just scoreboard watch?
That's the thing is I don't just scoreboard watch. That's the thing is I still probably would feel similarly because I know how teams can play. I know teams can eventually, they can focus on stopping one player. They can. And at that time, they put man-on-man matchups outside. If Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown get wide open, it's not going to matter because Jalen Hurts can't make the throw on time. I worry. That's the part that I worry about. I'm hoping he's just rusty. After what we saw from Tanner McKee, you got me feeling Nick Folesy right now.
I did jokingly talk when we were on the phone the other day. I was like, QB controversy, Tanner McKee looked pretty good.
I think that the Eagles, they need to keep leaning into this and keep getting into 2nd and 5 because it just seems like once they get into 2nd and 5, it's impossible to prevent them from positioning themselves for the Saquon or Jalen Hurts conversion on 3rd and 4th and short. And that seems to be their best way of moving the ball, just chopping it down, and eventually Saquon just breaks loose. You can't control it anymore.
I think it's all going to depend on what is that like. How healthy do the Lions get out of the Commanders game? Because I think, spoiler alert, I don't know if we're making picks or not. I'm picking the Lions in that game, and if they can get through that game and healthy, and then the Eagles are able to get past whoever they play based on tonight's outcome, I'm going to be worried for the Eagles in a situation where it's like, all right, we're dedicating 8 players right here. We're going to stop the run, and on our way to stop the run, we're going to get Jalen Hurts, sacks, pressures, whatever it is on that side of it. But then you just got to think like the defense has been great and opportunistic. Braun, that guy they brought in, I'm not going to lie and say I didn't even know that he existed until this year. And now he looks like an all-pro player, the draft picks they've made. I think that another case can be made for Howie as, executive. Just what he was able to do with how this defense looked down the stretch to now you go, okay, Vic Fangio, what do you want? All right, this is what we're giving you all this money. We're going to draft these players. They made the switch to put Cooper DeJean in there playing the nickel. They've just been Eagles. Really, the one thing is like, can Jalen make those big throws? And I believe that he can and that he will and that he does not care about stats. Yeah. It's one of those things that I like. I don't think that he'll ever be the kind of player where it's like, I need to throw for this amount of yards or I need to do whatever it is. Like I saw a stat today, Mike. He's like the rest of the league is like 20 and 79 when the quarterback throws for less than 150 yards, and the Eagles are like 5-1 because it doesn't matter. The Packers coughed that game up. You fumble the opening kickoff and you give the Eagles a short field like that on the road. It was like the exact opposite of what they did in Dallas last year happened this year against Philadelphia.
You keep giving yourself more ways to win. Shocker. You're going to win a lot. I mean, that's what the Ravens did getting Derrick Henry. That's what the Eagles did getting their guy in Saquon. That's what the Packers did getting Josh Jacobs. Like, just keep adding layers of ways to beat teams. Chargers, keep adding layers of ways to beat teams, please.
Well, the same argument that we're making or that you kind of made about Jalen Hurts, you could have made that about Jordan Love too. Like taking away Josh Jacobs really seemed to hurt the Packers this year. Like anytime that teams were able to do that, were able to slow him down, keep that, yards per carry down, keep the explosive plays away from him on the ground, then the Packers.
Yeah. And Jordan Love's a good example to tie this in a full freaking knot as to why Justin Herbert is clearly and undebatably a top 10 quarterback, because Jordan Love had just as bad, probably worse of a game than Justin Herbert had. At least Justin Herbert was trying to keep us alive, trying to play Superman ball. Jordan Love, in my opinion, did not look great at all in this game. And he had a rushing attack. Josh Jacobs got it going on the ground. I think he had 120 all purpose. He had help from his defense in spots, and no one is hating on Jordan Love. I have not seen any internet reaction. Everyone just like, yep, kind of what we expected if he gets put in that situation. There's a huge difference between these conversations.
The thing with Herbert is that this conversation has been going on for a while. It's also the draft class that he's involved in. Jordan Love winning a playoff game last year didn't help. Both Hurts and Burrow being to the Super Bowl. The fact that people were saying that Tua was an MVP candidate last year, even though the 2022 season where Herbert had better numbers, that wasn't considered an MVP season because they were 9-8, had the 29th ranked defense or whatever. But apparently that's an MVP season for Joe Burrow, where you can make up for a bad defense, put up crazy numbers, and then Troy Aikman just goes, he'd be my MVP candidate. And then the rest of the world is like, yep, you know what? You're right. It's like, well, when Herbert did this a couple of years ago, that was not the conversation in any way, shape, or form. But whatever. Yeah. I mean, Herbert was for 5K that year.
This kind of conversation is what separates the casual from the actual NFL fans out there, man. The people that are just watching the scoreboard every week and the people that are actually looking at what's going on. And that's why me and you do it every day. And that's why they should trust your Vikings-Rams prediction over mine. Right, Tony? Give us your Vikings-Rams prediction. You got to keep it short because I know you got to go. And then we're gonna make a pick. I'm going to give you my prediction while I'm giving my prediction. Make sure you have your pick in your head. But we're going to give a pick as to which playoff team that advanced this week was most impressive. Which win was most impressive. But first, we need your prediction for Rams Vikings because I think it's different than mine.
Yeah, it is going to be different. Like I said, the Rams are my Super Bowl pick. I said that on the show less than 11 minutes ago. I think that I should be saying the Rams, but there's just something about me cheering for Sam Darnold this year that's been so much fun.
Oh, wait. We had someone in the chat that was going to bring us up later. Luis was saying the Rams ain't making the NFC Championship game. And I was like, yeah, Tony just said that knowing he's picking the Vikings.
I know, because I really did have the Rams. This is the one. Kevin O'Connell needs this one too. Like really, like he's not. He lost that game at home a few years ago to Brian Dable and the Giants and Daniel Jones. Like I think Kevin O'Connell needs this moment right here to go on the road and beat somebody that he knows. Like he was coaching on that Super Bowl team, before he got the job in Minnesota. I think this is an opportunity for Kevin O'Connell and Sam Darnold to kind of say like, hey, we're legit, we're for real. And then they'll just go to Philadelphia next week and probably not win. I also believe too that the better, more interesting game is watching Brian Flores and how he would treat Jalen Hurts in that game and that rushing attack with Saquon Barkley, even though like we can't sleep on the Rams defensive line. But I'm going to go in this game. I'm going to go with a weird score, 27-25 Vikings win on a last-second field goal by Will Rickert or whatever his name is.
There you go, Tony. Vikings to the next round. Well, I kind of have a little bit of a different prediction. I already dropped my prediction. You guys might have seen it, might have not seen it here on the channel. But if you haven't seen it, I think that this will be a high-scoring game also. I do think the Vikings will put on a good showing. I think these teams are very similar. Like when you look at it, you go, quarterback playing really well, weapons galore. But on the defensive side of the ball, both defenses kind of aggressive, kind of risky, high risk, high reward. think we're going to see man coverage get beat a few times in the third quarter in this game. It's going to be fun. But the Vikings start slow. Rams start off to a hot start. They're the team with more playoff experience. They're the team with the QB head coach combo that's been in the playoffs before. The Vikings come roaring back because this Rams defense can't hold them back the entire game. But the Rams are the ones that pull it out. And Mr. Cardi is the one kicking the game-winning field goal to win 30-28. And we get, what, it'll be Rams-Eagles next round? Or will the Rams have to go to...
It's already settled. The winner of this game goes to Philadelphia.
There you go. So Rams-Eagles in the next round. So we're thinking similar games, but we just got one team holding the ball last.
Yeah, and this is one of those games where it's like, Stephon. This is why you make the addition of a Stephon Gilmore in the preseason, because you find yourself being 14-3, 5 seed, where it's like ridiculous that team has to go on the road. I
will say, I got one ticket on underdog, Jared Verse and Cooper Kupp touchdown, and then I have another one, both like $350, just the Jared Verse sack. Jared, you could be my man tonight, bro. You could be my man tonight. Go get those sacks, Jared. All right, Tony, which of these playoff wins in the first round was the most impressive in your opinion? Which one made you think this team is better than I thought? This team confirmed to be Super Bowl contenders. Which win was most impressive?
I don't necessarily know that they changed any opinion I had, but it's the Ravens. Like that was the game where I watched it and I was like, you're going to run for 299 yards or whatever. Like, I don't even, it just felt like they never stopped running the football successfully in that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that to me is like, even though it was 28-14, I think at one point, maybe 21-14, maybe at one point. I don't remember. Anyways, whatever it was never close. It's not like I never felt for 1 second, oh, the Ravens might lose this game. Not ever. And that's like, that to me is the most impressive win, and just how they did it, and just watching Derrick Henry. And then you get to hear Lamar Jackson go like, yeah, man, he reminds me of Lightning McQueen. It's like a Cars reference. I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm with you. And that was going to be my pick as well, is the Ravens. I would say a secondary pick, a shout out. I think I'm going to give the Texans a shout out since you picked the Ravens. Like, the Texans defense gave me some hope in that game that they're good enough to force kind of a low scoring battle in Kansas City and maybe sneak that out. Do it for Dell. Do it for Tank. Please.
I think that you will look back on this in 6 months and go like, what were we even playing with out there? Like,
I know. I already feel that way. Like, when you look at the Chargers, let's just put this one thing into perspective because we got to go. We really do.
Yeah.
We had 2 fifth-round rookies starting at each corner all season on the number 1 ranked defense. I mean, just put that into perspective. That's impossible to me.
I think offensively, another year in the system and everything like
shouldn't have been there. We are the Terminators this offseason. All right, there you go. Most impressive win, y'all, was the Baltimore Ravens. There's our full round 1 reactions. Prayers out and shout out to everyone in LA dealing with the wildfires. I didn't say it in the beginning. I meant to say it. If any of you guys are listening to this at any point in time and you need help spreading any GoFundMes out there, getting word out there for anything, I'll post them up on all platforms. Just send me the link, completely free. I will help you out. Try and get word out, at least, if I can, to some of my people that were affected by this. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 20K now. Thank you for 15K. And thank you, Tony Tucker. We had some technical difficulties, some issues with the power outage coming up. Thanks for jumping on here and giving these people the round 1 reactions. Otherwise, they just would have to hear me complain for an hour.
Well, I got a 9,500 watt generator back there. If they don't mind listening to a little, I'll jump on live anytime.
All right, now hit me with one, Tony, before we go.
Oh, there it is. Skull! I have so many friends from Minnesota.
Nope. The Rams are going to make the Cardinals' house their house tonight. Good luck out there, Staffy. We'll see you guys next time we're live, probably later.